Hello everyone, it's Adam here. Well, this is a very exciting moment for myself, my writing, and the channel. Before I start, this video is coming right after I did a video showcasing all the modifications that are invested in the bike. I did the math, it's a lot of money, and my first thought was, people probably think that I'm just so fanatical that let me hide this invoice here. That I'm so fanatical that I'm going into immense debt working this motorcycle. I'm actually not. Everything's being paid cash. Well, debit card. I've just been saving for a while, very excited about the bike, and this is the next, well, one of the final two steps of completing the bike. I'm super excited to share this with you guys. I've been waiting for a month for this to get in. This was supposed to get in before my North Carolina trip. And here we are. So, okay, let's pull this stuff to the side. Goes to the side. Anything else in there? Nope. Ted did a good job of packing this. See if I can. So what we have here is a few things. We have a front and rear shock for my bike. And the price is, for everything I bought from Beamer Shop, is about equivalent to an iMac Pro. And I am really, really stoked to show this with you guys. I won't be installing the shocks in this video. All I'll be doing is doing an unboxing. There are very few videos about these shocks on YouTube. In fact, there's no videos on how to install these shocks on YouTube on an LCGS. So it's going to be a fun time. The bike is actually over there apart right now, ready for the front shock. So Touratech, a lot of their parts are straight up marketing. It's good marketing. They find a company making a great product. They commission it. They say, okay, we'll take 500 of them if you'll put our logo on it. They do, and then sometimes Touratech even gets exclusive rights to that product to sell it, so that way there's no undercutting through non-branded items. And the rest of it ends up on in Chinese eBay. But in the case of Tractive, Tractive is a very well-known suspension company. Touratech has the exclusive use of Tractive suspension for the R1200GS and GS Adventure. And Beamer Shop out of California is the exclusive distributor/importer for Touratech suspension and Tractive and Hyper Pro suspension for USA, and I think Canada as well. So that's why you see a Tractive on one and you see Touratech on the other. It's the same thing. And then the Touratech steering damper is a Hyper Pro product, again branded Touratech. So. I'm so stoked. Now I do have this is going to go on a 2017 GS Adventure, brand new GS with 5,800 miles on it now after 4 months of riding. I ride a lot. I weigh 250 currently. I lose weight. I got down to 235 in the summertime and I go back to 250, 260 in the wintertime. It's just an annual cycle for me because the winters are so long up here in New Hampshire. And with a passenger weight on the back of my bike of 150, plus when you add in the 50 to 75 pounds of luggage on the bike when I'm touring, and then you combine with the fact that you guys have watched my videos have seen an immense amount of really intense off-roading for an adventure bike. Catching air over bumps, huge rock climbs, downward climbs, creeks, streams. Bike is fully loaded up with me and fuel. So you're looking at a bike that's carrying about 80 to 90 pounds more than the suspension is really designed for, which is 200 pounds is the standard load for the GS Adventure on one-up setting. So you're seeing me in one-up setting with 90 pounds of additional weight on the bike with me, gear, and fuel and luggage and oil, coolant, etc. And mods, Farkles. And I'm expecting the suspension to behave as if I'm 200 pounds of stuff. In addition to that, the OEM suspension from BMW is actually, the ESA component of it is made by Tractive, and for some reason BMW made it not serviceable. So, you know, Tractive, HyperPro, all these companies, Wilbers, Owens, they all ask the customer maintain the suspension, do oil changes, check the shocks, check for leaks, change the oil inside of the actual system here every 25,000 miles. But BMW has no interval for that. In fact, if you blow out your suspension or your spring starts sagging after years of use from a big guy, BMW's response is buy another BMW suspension for the tune of $4,000, which is ridiculous. It really is. In fact, Ted at Beamer Shop said to me, the most common emergency shock replacements he gets emails about is front shocks that blow out off-road. Someone does a hard landing and boom, oil goes everywhere and your whole trip is over. You're limping home on off-road and it's just not a good time. And if one of these blows up, it's serviceable, but every 25,000 miles I can also rebuild the shock if I want to, have the oil changed by Ted. It's really simple to do. He would charge around $300 to do both front and back. Don't quote me on that though, but that's the price he gave me, roughly. Assuming nothing major is wrong, $300 to the front and the rear servicing every 25,000 miles. So this is gonna save me money in the long run. If I have the bike for 100,000 miles, it's gonna save me $5 to $6 grand in shock replacements. And it means a better riding comfort for me when I'm fully loaded up and touring, and it means better rebound, compression, and reaction from the high-low compression additions when I'm off-road. And finally, it's fully supported with the BMW ESA system. It's completely integrated system with no error codes. It works with the high-low, the normal, soft, hard modes, the 1-up, 2-up, and luggage modes. So enough talking. Sorry, just wanted to give you guys an idea of what we're working with here. We've got a control unit. I think this is the rear suspension we're looking at. This is the control unit. We've got some zip ties, some special Touratech zip ties. Sticker, which is great. Instruction manual. In here we have our shock. Oh, it's huge. It's massive. Yeah, this is the rear unit. So we've got our some couplers there. We've got our adjustment knob for adjusting the height or rebound. We've got our ESA tube. Reservoir, basically. And oh, one more thing. I actually called BMW's, the local dealership, and they quoted me around $380 to replace the front and rear shock. That's the BMW service book price. So they said it could be a little more if I have a lot of modifications that keep them getting to that efficiently, but that's pretty much what they would charge. So this is an off. This is aluminum or stainless steel. This sits off to the side on the rear frame. You kind of bolt it up there with these clamps that they included. This is just a necessary evil for the whole system to make it work. And then on the shock itself, you have the reservoir where all the oil is kept. It's a nitrogen oil mix, I believe, and then you've got here high and low compression adjustments that you can use with the built-in tool. Really heavy. It's a unibody construction. Much bigger bushings. Overall, it's just a much beefier system than you would get from the OEM BMW setup. Oh, and that kit there, I think, is about $2,000 for this, or $2,500 for this shock that I'm holding in my hand. So don't drop it. It's gonna get beat the shit off road, though. I can assure you of that. And then here's the front shock. Oh, it also comes with a tool for adjustments, which is nice. And then here's the front shock. So you've got a, they call this a progressive spring rate. So you've got the actual spring gap between springs actually gets larger as you go up. So you can actually, so it'll keep you from bottoming out, but it allows you, the bike to sort of progressively get more and more stiff as your compression goes down. Also have high-low compression settings here with the tool. And then this has been set up with these have been set up 170 millimeter springs for my weight, the rear has, and the compression is, according to Ted, already set up for my weight as well. So, or the rebound. So everything supposedly is ready for me, and this is the front spring, and then you have your electronics here that plugs into the stock ESA system. If you were to go non-ESA, you would save yourself about $800 for the setup, and you get an ESA delete, which would basically tell the bike ESA is all good, but it wouldn't actually be sending any feedback anywhere. So if you control it to hard to normal, the bike sends that command through. The ESA delete says, sure, I got it, bud, no problem. And then nothing would happen. So that's kind of how the ESA delete works. So before we close out the video, I've got one more cool thing I want to show you guys. This is actually a Cougar steering damper. It's the same exact steering damper that Touratech uses, that they brand themselves. But this was $360 instead of $550. That's all in with the clamp and the steering stabilizer. Sorry, not damper, steering stabilizer. And so a steering stabilizer, I'll give you the short version of this. You've got one on the GSA and the GS already. So later liquid-cooled models in the 2014 and newer have a damper, a stabilizer from the factory. It's not adjustable, but it does do a bit of work in doing this. But you see how I'm moving this in and out? This is a feedback that you're going to feel in your steering whenever you're moving. Right now it's on a certain setting. If I turn this knob, it's got 11 settings. I'll turn it 3 times. This gets harder to move. Turn it 3 times backwards, and this gets easier to move. So 11 adjustment settings. That'll allow you to control the response when you're fully loaded up. So when you put a lot of weight on the back of your bike, the front steering will get lighter. When you pass a big semi truck, you're going to have a lighter up front, so you can actually make that a bit stiffer up front. When you're off-road, if you're running across rocks and your steering is taking you left-right to go around these rocks, you may not want to lose steering, a sharp pull to the right because you hit a rock. You may want a little bit of feedback where your bike actually kind of fights up against that turn and gives you a little bit more time to react. For that, you can use a stiffer setting, basically. So by stiffening it, you're not getting thrown right as you hit a rock and go onto the right side of it. You'll still be hitting right, but it'll be a slower motion. Now, it does mean you have to work more to turn the steering, but it'll give you more control and more time to react off-road. And that's what the damper's doing on the GS by default. But with the adjustability, you can actually tune how that's reacting. And also, again, the stock unit from BMW, not serviceable. So this is full of oil. It does need to be serviced, not as much as regular suspension, but it does need to be serviced eventually. And you will need to take this off every few years and send it in for servicing. If this were to leak and fail on the GSA, I would lose the stabilizing effects, and I would have to buy a whole new unit for, you probably was $800 for it, something like that. So this would be a separate install video, of course. And you would need to get this $50 part that allows you to install it on the GS. And the very last thing that I'll definitely cover in another video is I have the Moto Hansa toolkit here for BMW. This is a separate video in itself. I've gone on long enough, so I'm going to end it right here. Thanks so much for watching. I'm super excited to have this stuff in stock, and of course the subsequent videos where I talk about how this has made my ride quality much better, but also, more importantly, how to install this stuff, because there's nothing online on how to install this. I want you guys to get the best experience, and this has been Adam. You guys ride safe. Thanks so much for watching. I'm super stoked. I really am excited to have all this stuff, so it's going to be amazing. So have a great day, guys, and rock on.